Happy New Year. It is officially 2026, but before I dive into all of my crazy knitting plans and projects for the new year, I thought that we should take a minute and go through everything I made in 2025. Hello and welcome back to the Knit Life Oils YouTube channel. Today we're going to go through everything I made in 2025. So before I can kind of move forward, I thought that we would look back a little bit. So I already have tons of new projects for the 2026 ideas in my head, things I want to make, crazy ideas that I think I can make like 5 things, including a sweater and 2 giant shawls in like 3 weeks, which is not a real thing, but you know, we all try. So yeah. So first thing I thought I would do is go through kind of my stats from the year. So I made 25 finished objects. So that's things. And 3 of them were cardigans. One of them being this gelato cardigan. This, if you've been around for any length of time, this is my most talked about, most memorable project of the year for sure. It is a floor length cardigan. And it had a lot of stories that went with it. But yeah, so those were some of the bigger projects that kind of took up a lot of time. I went to 9 knitting events, and I think I have even more planned for this year, which I'm super excited about because they are my favorite thing ever. And I made 11 cowls / shawls. So that was definitely the biggest category of what I made in 2025 was neckwear. So I thought I would break down what I finished in each month. Something that's really interesting and maybe you can pay attention to is that I don't finish the same amount of things each month. Some months I finish a lot of things and some months I don't finish anything at all, which is quite interesting to me. And that does kind of follow the cycle of making, I guess. You cast on a lot of things and then you have to finish them. And so if things are started at the same time, then they kind of get finished at the same time, but that means you're in the middle of multiple projects for a longer length of time. So it kind of made sense, and I saw that as I worked through the year. Okay, so let's start with January, and I made the Drawn Together cowl. So I held 2 strands of fingering weight together to do this, and it made a really cool fabric. It was a little bit of an interesting shape, and so I wasn't crazy about how tight it was on my neck, but that could be adjusted, obviously. And it was really fun to have the I-cord around the top and to do that technique where it's a fold-over cuff, essentially, and you kind of make a channel to put the I-cord through, which was super fun. So then, let me see. I made these tinsel mitts for myself for when I went to New York, and I have worn them to a couple of other cold places. I was wearing them yesterday, and one of the things that is slightly problematic is that one of them fits perfectly, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And I think that like I omitted like 1 row on the other one, and it just doesn't lay the same, and it makes me really grumpy. So this one lays absolutely perfectly. This one has like some sort of a gap, and it's just really weird. So I don't know. If you kind of lay it, then it's fine. I don't know. One of them is great, and the other one has a little bit of issues. But yeah, so these were fun to make. So if you see, there's a little bit of a detail on this side. You can't really tell though. Let me see. There we go. But otherwise, these are DK weight. And so they're a little bit thicker than things that I normally do. I think on the next pair that you'll hear about in a minute, I made a thumb flip cover. I think that's what it's called. Also, and I think for me that would be more helpful because I was having a hard time that my thumb can't work my phone. Problems of an influencer, right? Okay. So that was January. February, this was one of my other favorite projects of the year. So this is my Rainbow Grid Gambit cowl. See how we kind of have a theme here? You know, it's fine. But this is the Rainbow Grid Gambit. And so the pattern is written for DK weight yarn, but I have lots of fingering. And so I decided to double fingering to do this. And the Rainbow Gradient is a double knit sock blank that I held together. And so it did all of this on its own. And then the other one is a Sparkle White that I held double all the way throughout. And it turned out amazing. It was exactly what I wanted in my head. And it was first try, and it was perfect. It came together wonderfully. Oh, and I'm going to put all of the links to patterns and yarns in the caption of this video. So if you're curious, you can look down there. Okay, so the Adelaide Cowl was a project that I did with an exclusive collaboration that I designed with Laura from Always Be Kind Yarns. It's called Katie Colors because I was actually on the plane to Vogue and she sent me a picture of this yarn. And I was like, that's what all my friends calls Katie Colors. And she goes, okay, great. That's the name of this yarn. And so we decided that that was what it was called. And I made the Adelaide Cowl with it. We did a knit along, and it was really fun to kind of design something in that colorway that you made all the way through and saw other people make all the way through. And yeah, so the Michigan Avenue wrap, this was a really long rectangle with a triangle on one side, and it was color blocked. And I actually had a lot of fun with this because I normally knit with fingering weight, and so this was DK weight, and it was on bigger needles, so it made garter stitch bigger, and it went really fast, which was cool. I could do like a foot in like a couple hours, which was really neat because it doesn't usually happen in my fingering weight life, right? Okay, so March, I made the Paw Print Love beanie, which has these adorable little paw prints on it in color work. It's a DK weight hat, so it works up really quick too. And then, let's see. So this is probably one of my most asked about patterns of the year. I've made a couple different ones of them. These are headphone covers. They're called the No Flake headphone covers. And they, fix this one a little bit. This one got a little stretched out, I think. There we go. So they're a super easy pattern, super simple to make. And so I would take them off with a flake all over the place. So these headphones are really old, and I was having a really hard time replacing them because I like specific headphones, right? And so the black on them was starting to flake off everywhere, and it was just causing all kinds of issues. And so I found these headphone covers, and I made them, and then I did not have that issue anymore. And they just make it nicer on your ears too. So I made a few other versions of these. These are actually the perfect size headphones for this. I'm having a little bit of a hard time trying to get the pattern to fit my new headphones that are bigger, but I'm gonna figure it out. So they're falling off a little bit, and I tried making them bigger, and that did not help anything. So that's not the answer. Okay, and then in March, I also finished this teal grid gambit. You'll kind of see a theme of grid gambits. I made 3 this year. And these were, nope, the pink and teal one, pink and blue. The pink and blue one was fingering weight held double, and it has sparkle in it. And then the DK weight is teal from Junie and Sai. And here, let me see. There you go. I picked that up at Red Alder because I knew that it would look perfect with this, and I wanted to wear this to H&H. So that was great. And then, where's the other one? Okay. And then April, I finished the Color Story Grid Gambit. So this is Color Story DK yarn, the mini skein unicorn pack, and the natural white. And so it only used about, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that was the number I remembered. 7 of the mini skeins. So if you are doing something like that, I would prioritize the colors that you want first, because there was 10 mini skeins in the pack, and so I didn't quite get through all of them. And so I started picking different ones at different points. So, but I also really like the gradient of this and how this runs together. So, all right. That was the only thing I finished in April. May, I was really trying to finish this before we went to H&H. This is the Newport Clam Bake Poncho by my friend Roseanne Fleischner. And ta-da! This is Moonlit Yarns. And I didn't quite have enough of, which one was it? The main color, the purple. And so I got a little bit creative with the help of Lauren Elkin and Zandy Peters, and I did this cable saddle shoulder detail to add a little bit of length, and so it hangs down lower, which I love. And I told Roseanne that I was bringing this and wearing it, and so she wore her sample from the book and the pattern. And then we got to wear them together, which I thought was really, really fun. And yeah, it just it made it all worth it trying to finish it. So yeah. Okay, so June, I didn't finish anything. And that's okay. I was working on this cardigan. Also, I realized that flock was coming up and I needed a flock top. So we are going to get there in a second. Because in July, I did finish the flock top. This is called the Hope Top. And this is Rainbows and Airwaves from Bad Sheep Yarn. And I love this rainbow colorway. Look at this. Still makes me super happy. So this top was really cool because it had this little cable detail on all of the edges at the top. So it has it on the neckline. It also has it on the shoulders. The one thing that I didn't love is that it didn't have it on the bottom. And so I actually added it to the bottom and just made this cable detail into a bind off, and I love it. So that is one of my favorite details of that. Okay, so then I also decided that I needed a new shawl to wear to flock, because if you haven't noticed yet, I go to a lot of knitting events, and then I decided that I need a new wardrobe for every event. That's not really going to work this year because there's too many, and there's not time to make one right before every event. So we're going to have to wear the same things. Like, it's going to have to be a thing. We're just going to have to figure it out. But this shawl I made in like a week and a half, I think, maybe 2 weeks. So it's called Get Set and Go. And this yarn is from my friend Marcella at Little Wing Fibers. And it starts with a few stitches on one side and then gets longer and does the arrow thing in the middle. It was really fun and easy to make. And one of my most exciting things about this is my friend Mackenzie from Hanks and Needles is like the queen of styling shawls. And so I was like, I don't understand. And so I got to her on, what day was that? Friday. I knew exactly when she got there, and I went straight to her and found her. And I had it sort of thrown on. And so what she did was she fixed it. And how she fixed it is that you hang it with the middle part here, and then one side was too long, so she knotted it, and I've left the knot in because it makes it so much easier to wear, and it's perfect. So there you go, solution. So August, I also did not finish anything because I was still working on the gelato cardigan. So the gelato cardigan is 7 skeins of fingering weight yarn, so it took a very long time. But in September, I actually did finish. So this is my official introduction of the gelato cardigan. I had so much fun with this cardigan. I took it to Flock and got to show the yarn dyer. I lost it at Flock, which was its whole own story. But it was so identifiable that it came back to me. So that's great. And then we did a whole photo shoot with it. My sister took photos for me, and it was just a really fun project. One thing was that I had a little bit of an issue because it was dragging on the ground. And it was the funniest thing because I talked to all of my other knitting friends, and they just, most problems, like, other knitters know solutions to, right? And they all looked at me and were like, I don't know how to help you. I've never had that problem. I was like, of course, because I'm the only crazy enough one to make a floor length cardigan. But, you know, so, I tried to wear it like that. I tried to reblock it. That didn't really work. So eventually what I did was I cut off an entire color, which is actually way less scary than you think it is. You kind of just pick a point and you cut it, and then you just unravel from that point across. You can pick up all of the stitches on that row all the way across, but honestly I found that to be harder because I can't see in a straight line, and therefore I picked up all sorts of different rows and it didn't really work very well. But I got it figured out, got everything back on the needles, and then I just did an Icelandic bind off, and it actually looks great. So it was totally fine. And then the collar actually had ribbing on it, and first of all, by that point I was really done with this cardigan. I love it to death, but also it had been taking forever, and I think they wanted like 12 rounds of ribbing all the way around it, and that was gonna be like 700 stitches on my needles, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I also wasn't crazy about that way of finishing it, and so I had just finished the Hope Top where I did that cable bind off. So I decided to do an applied cable to the edge instead. And it's honestly the thing that everyone tells me about. They're like, that collar is so cool. I'm like, actually, that was me. Like, I just put that on there and I'm so glad everybody loves it. So that was another highlight of this, was kind of making up my own ending. And it worked out great. So then in October, I finished this, which is called the Paris Toujours shawl, which I'm completely butchering because it's French and I'm not French. But this, I have a dress that I really like to wear to festivals, and I wanted something to wear with it, and it matches perfectly, which is great. This yarn I actually found on the swap table at the Patty Lyons retreat in April, and it was dyed by Fully Spun, who doesn't dye anymore. But it was a really fun and exciting find for me, and I love the pops of teal in between all of the yellow in this, and yeah, so that was fun to wear to Rhinebeck. And then when I got home from Rhinebeck, I made the Amortensia toque that I found this bulky weight yarn from my friend Allie of Road Trip Sock Yarn, and then I found this pattern, and it was just so fun to make. I made the entire hat in a weekend, and I was calling it my Minnesota hat because I was going to Minnesota, and I was told that it's freezing in Minnesota, which it totally was, by the way. Let me be clear. I needed a Minnesota hat. But my sister was obsessed with it, and so I was allowed to take it to Minnesota, but then it was, I had to give it back. So I'm getting more yarn, and I will make us more of the hats so that we all have one. It'll be okay. And then in November, I made the Strawberry Mountain Cowl. And this is 2 different colors from my friend Gabby at Plies and Hellhounds. She was the other vendor at the retreat in Minnesota, and I saw her at Flock. And so I got these yarns to make a cowl so that I could wear it while we were vending together. And it worked out very nicely too. So this part is just garter, stripes, ridges, however you want to say that. And then this is all slip stitches. And so you only work 1 color per row, and it's super simple. So then finally December, apparently I realized that I had to make a bunch of stuff in December because I needed stuff for gifts. And so December was my most productive knitting month. I finished I call it the camera doodle cowl. So before I left for Rhinebeck, my sister found yarn on Maggie from Yarnacious's Instagram and was like, I really need this socks set. And I'm like, okay. And so I found it and I brought it home. And while I was there, I also got the new Book Doodle deck pack from Pacific Knit Co. that are all the doodles from her book. And as I was looking through them, I found a camera, and she's been really excited about photography lately. And I was like, okay, so I will use this sock set to make her this cowl. And it worked out perfectly. It was for her birthday. She loves it and has worn it like every day since. So it was an awesome make. So then I started working on a project for my mom for Christmas. So several years ago, she taught herself to knit enough to make a grocery bag. And she loves it and has said multiple times that she hopes that she has no idea how she made this bag, but she would really love to have more of them. And so I tried to make it, and it was fine. I did make it, but it's cotton on bigger needles, and it was hurting my hands so much to do. Definitely not really my style of knitting, but we got through it, and she has another market bag now. I had gotten, how many years ago? I don't know. Several years ago, more yarn, to make 4 of these market bags. She's only getting 1. That's it. She just gets the 1, but she got it. I also made a green pentapus, and I don't think I have any pictures, so I'll show you other pentapuses that I have made. But it was the 2 colors from my sister's doodle cowl held together so that she could also have a pentapus made out of those colors that she loves so much. And then I made a cow sweater, and it's super cute, and the cow loves it. Tori loves it. Funny enough, the cow, whose name is Willie Hank, has been a large part of my knitting journey this year. He came with us to Sacred Sheep in November, and my sister holds him like this and walks around with him, and he was talked to. We literally counted over 30 times, and then we lost count. That is more than anyone's ever talked to me about my knitting at a knitting event, so just bring a stuffed cow. It's fine. So he got a sweater for Christmas. And then I made 2 sets of headphone covers, those same ones that I showed you earlier. My sister and I both got new headphones, and I made us each our own covers. And then in the last few weeks of the year, I was trying to wrap up some Christmas present projects that didn't quite get finished. So one is the honey cowl, and we call it Ryan's cowl because Ryan from Salty Blonde dyed this yarn. It's called Nymph, and I brought it back with me from one of my trips to Salt Lake. And my sister, this is not her colors at all, but for some reason she loves this yarn. And so I made her favorite cowl pattern, which is the honey cowl, in it. And she has only had it for a couple days, but she's been really excited to wear it. And then the very last thing I made in 2025 was the Cityscape mitts. And those are for the hands that hold the cow in the same yarn as the cow sweater. So that worked out really nicely. And my sister was also very excited because the designer of that pattern is Tori Yu, and her name is Tori. So it all worked out very nicely. So, and look, 25 finished objects for 2025. There you go. I think the year before I did 27, but I did a lot of stuffies that year, which are pentapuses that are like this big. And so I did a lot of bigger projects this year, and I think that was why I didn't finish as many things. But I am sitting in a pile of all of these knits, and look at this. There's so much yarn, so many knits, so many. So anyway, that is everything I made in 2025. I can't wait to see what I make in 2026 and what you make in 2026. And I will talk to you soon.